and welcome to the DM's Book Club, a weekly book club podcast where we talk about some Dungeons & Dragons and discuss how we might include them in our role-playing campaigns. My name is Fiona, and normally I have a co-host here, the wonderful Hamilton, or a wonderful guest that sort of talks to me about D&D and all the different topics, etc. Unfortunately, timings and schedules have all sort of collapsed around me as I went away for a trip, and then I forgot that an episode had to go out. And the wonderful Hamilton is on paternity leave just now. So I thought, why not go back into the vaults and see if I can find something to play solo? And I was trying to look for like a decent like D&D thing for me to play by myself, etc. And I did think briefly about doing Shadow Dark, like a solo, like one-on-one of that. But I'll be completely honest, it seemed like a lot of work just to, like, again, something I needed, something quick and easy, just to, play along. So I've gone back to our old friends, the Catacomb books series. You may recall we have played two of their games before. We did Night of the Living Dead and Gnomes 100 and Dragons 0. With Hamilton, we did that with the one with. So I'm going to do another game book in the Solo Quest series. We're actually going to do the first ever one ever published. We're going to do Faerie Mound of Dragonkind, and we're going to just see how far we get into it. So in case you're sort of new to this, so these Catacomb Solo Quests, they're sort of like choose your own adventure, although obviously that is copyrighted, so we've got to be careful when we say that out loud. They're large sort of format game books, and they're about 150 pages or so. It's not completely choose your own adventure. Often there is like a dice mechanic as well. And so yeah, we're just going to go into it. I'll be honest, I haven't read anything about this particular one. The reason I did the other two, because I thought Gnomes 100 and Dragon 0 was quite a fun title, and the Night of Living Dead was round Halloween, and we can't play that through again for Halloween, can we? So we're going to do Faerie Mound of Dragonkind, which is the first one that came out. There is another one called The Final Bug, which we may get to at some point, but that one looks a little bit more sci-fi than anything. I'm just going to describe to you the incredible cover we've got if you can't get a copy of the PDF yourself. So this is obviously published by TSR. 1987 was when it first came out. Very interesting. And yeah, the cover is, it looks like we're in some sort of temple with like these two dragon heads spewing water into a pool. And there is a very scantily clad lady in a white dress, having a white coat with lots of tassels on it, appearing out of the pool, like jumping out of the pool. I think she's wearing like those sort of sandals that are sort of tied up all the way up to your knees. So it's like, oh, very nice, those sort of calf things. And she's got sparkles around her. It's looking very bronzed, beautiful flowing blonde hair, and some sparkles all around her. Gotta love a good sparkle. Presumably she is like maybe the main goal of this, I wonder, like a fairy mound. I assume she may be some sort of fey creature, perhaps. But yeah, we will see. Also, we should always credit the writers. This particular adventure is by Jean Blashfield and James M. Ward. It's always good when a book starts by abandon all hope ye who enter here. But it looks like I get to choosing between two characters. It says there's an intro to the fighter, which is on the left-hand side, that's like the left column, and there's an intro to the bard, which is on the right column. And then eventually it ends up with like, an introduction for both characters. So we have two different points of view coming into this. A quick look through, I can see, I think you're called Brennis, Brennies, the horse warrior, the fighter. And I can't really tell what your name is for the bard, unless you're called Cynthia, or Cynthia. There's like a W in there as well. I think just on a quick gut feeling, I want to go for the bard, because a fighter sounds a little bit boring right now. For the Faerie Mound, I think my charisma should do me well here. So the introduction to the bard is this. Your heart trembles with excitement as you contemplate the coming night. Perhaps this night will bring you the harp that speaks to your soul. Oh, Cynthia, your panpipe does well enough for an average bard, but you know within you that you have a greater destiny to sing the songs and tell the tales that move hearts and nations. It's not Cynthia. Like, whatever this name is the name of your panpipe, but it's spelled Cwythia. There's my name. Redirch? You are Redirch, Riderch, the bard of your people. Oh, I thought it was going to be called Cynthia. It is your joy and your life's task to relate to them their history of triumph and adversity. It is to you they turn to when they need encouragement that remembrance of a glorious past can bring. It is to you they turn when fears for the future must be soothed away. The ability to do these things for your people brings solace to your heart. Nevertheless, you feel growing within you a need for something more, a need to be able to sing new songs, to compose the heartfelt ballads that will commemorate your people forever. the songs that other bards in later days will glory in adding to their repertoire. Deep in this mystical fairy mound is the harp of the bards. Oh, okay, the MacGuffin, I see. A magical instrument so powerful that the legends of it have been sung since its disappearance 2,000 years ago. You have been chosen to seek it out and try and make it yours. Well, have I been chosen to seek it out? It feels like that's a self-chosen thing for me to have done. Your mainstay in each battle are your magical panpipes, their lilting, melodious tones succeeding in charming a creature into harmlessness without harming the creature itself on a 6 or less. Is that on the tag of Cynthia, my panpipes? If the pipes fail, you must draw your sword. Your sword succeeds in striking on a 7 or less in combat and inflicts 5 life points of damage. You also have weapon skills in using an axe, dagger, spear, and bow and arrows. Other weapons you scorn. Okay. You carry the following additional items beside your empty backpack. A potion of healing, and in brackets it says all potions can be used once. This heals 6 life points of damage. Okay. The second thing I've got is a ring of fairies, and in brackets, this prevents you from being blinded by any type of magic. Nice. I also have a sphere of defense, and it says in brackets, the sphere allows you to always defeat one type of creature in the Faerie Mound. In game terms, this means you may automatically turn to the win section of the text every time you face that type of creature. You must pick a creature during the course of your adventure to use the sphere against. Smashing the sphere works before combat, and from then on, you aren't hurt by that type of creature throughout the mound. Interesting. Okay, so if I just say fairies and I just break it, or just dragons, that should be right, okay? I will say, just having a quick look at the fighter, what did they get? They get a ring of protection, which negates the first life point of damage you receive in every new battle. That's pretty good. Their potion of healing is not as good, though. It heals 3 life points of damage, presumably because you can do more damage. I can see, yeah, you've got bronze plate mail wielding your magical +2 sword, Heartseeker. Oh, they've got a better name than Cynthia. And the weapon does 7 life points of damage, and it strikes on a combat score of 10 or less. Oh, that's pretty good. The fighter also gets a sphere of time. This sphere allows you to completely redo one unsuccessful encounter from the encounter's beginning. Ooh, that's pretty good. And it looks like, for the fighter, I'm just reading it now, your liege lord lies near death. A strange debilitation has overtaken him, and he is wasting away almost before your very eyes. The wizards have all examined him, checked the portents, and finally agreed amongst themselves, a rare occurrence indeed. They say the only thing that can save your lord is an elixir made from the dust of an ancient fairy king. Only such an elixir will bring back the colour to his face, the sparkle to his eyes, the power to his sword. Without it, he dies. Okay, so it sounds like if I'm a fighter, I have to go do this quest for my liege, whereas if I'm the bard, I just want this new harp. Yeah, I'm with the bard on this one. I ain't got time for other people. You stare awestruck at the mound before you. You are certain that it's never been here before when you've come through these woods. I must go through these woods all the time as a bard. Clearly I need to collect my stories. The legends must be correct then. You wonder if they are as correct about the unexpected tricks the creatures of fairy can play on humans. For a moment, you doubt the wisdom of entering this strange place, a place that seems unfit for humans of the ordinary world. But you have a quest, and it is one you can't ignore. Especially now that the fabled Faerie Mound has appeared, just as you hoped it would. And wouldn't on this one night in 1,000 years. You walk around the small mound, but you see no sign of an entrance. You lean forward and cautiously place your ear to the cool grass. Straining to shut out the night sounds of the forest, you think you hear a faint melodic hum from inside the mound. You put your ear closer, but the melody is abruptly cut off. Then, remembering an old wives' tale from your childhood, you walk around the mound 9 times. By the time you reach the 9th circuit, you have begun to feel a little foolish. Until you notice a faint glow in the grass ahead of you. Kneeling at the spot, you push your hands into the grass, which parts before you, revealing an opening into the base of the hill. A bright light flashes out, momentarily blinding you. Absolutely not, I've got my ring of fairy. So I see everything in vivid technicolor. But you look again into the brightness until your eyes adjust. Gradually, through the brightness, you become aware that you are looking into a huge room, far larger than can fit inside the small mound you've been circling. Alright, and then we just go straight into how to play the game. I mean, you'd think you'd have this before the intro, but whatever. So welcome, brave one, to the world a few men have seen, a world ruled by magic and illusions, a labyrinthian world filled with dangers for mortals who dare enter. After reading the introduction, you may make a choice between playing the part of Brenez, the fighter, or I think it's Ridurk, the bard. Then you turn to the picture on page 6 and 7 and then read the text on page 8. So so often these Catacomb solo books, they have like images that you can look at and you can point to which one, which bit area is of interest to you. You can see it and then go to that bit in it. So that's quite cool. As you enter each new chamber, study the picture and read the boxed introductory material, usually at the top of the page opposite the picture. From the picture, you must decide whether to talk to any beings or creatures you see or to fight them, or if any object catches your eye, whether you want to examine it. If the object or creature you wish to examine isn't listed in the choices given in the text, it is of no use to you on your quest. Okay, that's me told. The choice you make directs you to another section of the book. Be sure to mark the page with the picture on the back of your character bookmark. You'll almost certainly need to come back to it. So often you'd get like a bookmark that you would be able to tear out, like it's on like a perforated paper or something, you'd be able to tear it out. The section you were sent to explains what happens next as a result of your choice. There will be dangerous creatures and objects that you might wish you hadn't investigated, but there will always be vital clues along the way that could help you complete your quest successfully. You will need a considerable amount of luck and more than your share of common sense to survive. Well, not me. Not Ridurk with my panpipe Cynthia. No. Tear off the folded portion of the back cover at the perforation and cut apart the free bookmarks. One of the bookmarks is for an elf character. Without looking, flip through the pages at random and place the elf anywhere in the book. Try to avoid placing it on the first few pages or the last few pages. You needn't think about it again until by chance you need to turn to a section on one of the 2 pages the elf bookmark has been placed in. What happens then is explained under the elf section found later in the instructions. I don't like the sound of that. What's this elf going to do? After studying the character descriptions on page 3, you then need to choose whether you want to play the fighter or the bard. You'll then use that character's bookmark as you play. As you're directed through the mound during the course of the game, move your character's bookmark into each new picture page. The bookmark is also used to keep a track of life points and the items you carry with you. So on your bookmark, you'll find a list of items acquired in the Faerie Mounds. Use the blank spaces that follow to record objects you come upon in the mound that you think will be of help to you in your quest. The spaces represent the room you have available in your backpack. Note that you can carry a total of 3 potions, 2 weapons, 3 rings, and 3 other objects as long as they are not weapons, rings, or potions. All these items are in addition to whatever you're carrying with you when you begin your adventure. So those panpipes, they're sticking in my front pocket, that one. If you acquire more items than you have space for, you must choose to leave something behind. To state it another way, in addition to your original equipment, you may never carry more items than you have specific spaces for in your pack. Aha, weapons. So the game employed in this book utilises one 12-sided die to determine the outcome of battle. So this is what the Catacomb books do. You need a 12-sided die, a D12. Excellent. If you do not have one, a simple substitution is incorporated into the book. The fighter may use any magical item he finds on the Faerie Mound. A bard may only use swords, in brackets, or daggers, axes, spears, bows and arrows, but he may carry other weapons to use in bartering. Now, and the fighter gets to use any magical... What other magical weapons are there? Like a halberd or something? Following is a summary of the rules about weapons and their use. So the bard strikes successfully on a 7 or less with all normal, in brackets, non-magical weapons. All normal, non-magical weapons, except daggers and darts, do 5 points of damage. Non-magical daggers and darts do 3 points of damage. Okay, so normally it's 5, often 3. Okay. Since the bard's magical panpipes are not a true weapon, merely enchanting an opponent and thus rendering him helpless, they require a 6 or less to strike successfully and inflict no damage, but allow the bard to win the battle without a fight. Nice, I like this mechanic. The magical weapons receive a bonus, which is added to both the number needed to strike successfully and to the damage inflicted. So that's quite nice. So it makes sense for me to go find magical weapons. I mustn't forget that, though. I will absolutely forget to add that magical damage for sure. So the elf character is represented on the bookmark on the folded segment of the back cover. The elf has mystical powers that can directly affect your success or failure in this adventure. When you turn to one of the pages between which you've inserted the elf bookmark, note the die number in the lower left corner of the left-hand page. Locate the same number on the elf's bookmark. Turn to the section number indicated in order to find out how the elf's presence affects you. There are 12 different elves to be found in this book. Makes sense because we're using a D12. After you meet the first elf, place the bookmark randomly elsewhere in the book until you meet him again and proceed as you did before. If by chance you get the same number as before, you may generate a new number by rifling through the pages and stopping at random. So yeah, that's how it's going to use it using the book. You just take a number at random from the page. Note that all other action stops whilst you deal with the elf. When you're finished with him, return to the section the text originally directed you. So elf rules overwrite normal rules. Combat. The simple combat system uses numbers 1 to 12. When your character engages in combat, decide what weapon he will use and refer to the combat table on page 160 for the combat numbers of your opponent. Begin combat by rolling one 12-sided die. If you don't have a 12-sided die, randomly flip the pages in the book and stop anywhere. At the bottom left corner of every left-hand page, except for 2 double-page illustrations, is a symbol of a 12-sided die with a number on it. Use that number for combat in place of a die roll. So, for example, suppose you're fighting the Annis, A-N-N-I-S there. Your player character will always strike first, so flip through the pages and come to a stop. Suppose you need an 8 or less to strike. If the die in the lower left is 8 or less, your strike is successful. Subtract the appropriate number of life points from the Annis's total of 10 and see the combat time. Yes, it's, again, very similar to the previous 2 books we've played. When your opponent's life total falls below 0, you have won the battle. If the creature reduces your life points to 0 or less, follow the instructions on the text for losing. Oh, if there's no instructions, you are dead and your quest is over. Oh, well, that's good for me, huh? All right. That's it. I guess we just go straight into it. Right. Where should I put the elf? I can't put them in the first couple of pages. I can't put them in the last couple of pages. We've got about 150-ish pages total. Let's go for... I'm going to go for page 75, which is where we'll put this bookmark, shall we? Loads of stuff on page 75. Okay. I will say, just for notes, I don't know if this will ever come up, the D20 number off to the left just says 1 in it, which I don't think is a good sign. Low number's not good. All right, but I'm going to put it at 75. I'll make a note of it. I was looking at the bookmarks at the back. Okay. And obviously there's a little bit of spoilers. Because there's on the combat table, I can see a whole ton of things I might come across. There's a green dragon that's appeared out to me, a dragon moth, which also sounds great, a will-o'-the-wisps as well. So there's loads of stuff that I probably will have to deal with, and that's fine. However, I'm just going to look over at the the bookmarks. So we have Brenez, the fighter, then we have the elf, and then we have Redirch, I think he's called, the bard. Like, don't get me wrong, like the elf looks very cool. Brenez, the fighter, typical sword and sorcery sort of fighter stance, big muscles, etc. And then Redirch is just blowing his goddamn panpipes. I also think he's wearing socks with sandals as well. Oh god, why did I pick the bard? He looks so silly. He's got a big foppish like bard hat on and everything. Oh. Let's go to that first page then. Oh, wow. All right, so I'm on page 6 currently of this PDF. And it's a double-page spread of this illustration. This must be our POV as we're looking into the mound, right? We've broken through this grass, and we can see like a banquet hall with a big feast happening. I can see like lanterns, or there's like shining lights on the table of these 2 long banquet things. We can see lots of food. I can see, looks like a lot of people sat down. There's a couple of, looks like fairy people, or people with fairy wings on the back, serving food. Looks like a mixture of dwarves and elves, presumably fair folk. At the top end of where we're looking into, there is someone sat on like a dragon chair. Looks like a king of some sort, with 2 sconces on each side, like sort of like burning. There seems to be a tree also on the left as well. That's a skull? Oh, weird. There also seems to be a fairy at the back. I think they're clearing dishes and they're putting them in almost what looks like a dumbwaiter of some sort. And then there's a double doors on the right side of the room as we're looking in. And there's, of course, I need to mention, there's a black cat on the ground that's like looking up at us as well. Yeah, there's a couple of people like cheersing and like looking at us like, come on in. So it looks like I'm welcome. But here's the thing, it's already talked to us about like folklore and like if we walk around the mound like 9 times, widow shins, etc. So this might require me to remember some folklore stuff as well as normal D&D rules, so we'll see how that goes. Pleased to enter, sir. a voice sounds suddenly. You hesitate as you realise that an armour-clad elf is standing before you, but his gesture is welcoming, not threatening. Beyond the elf, at the far end of the room, rises a huge dragon throne. Seated on it is a small, wizened figure that you immediately recognise as the Fairy King. Of course I do. This is his realm you have entered. How will you fare here? As you stare at the king, a glass is thrust almost into your face. A leather-clad dwarf appears up from you, offering you a glass of liquid that smells like ale. A welcoming smell indeed. Other intriguing things scattered around the room catches your eye. A lute, a bottle that appears to be floating in midair, roast meats, but you know you have to deal with the people first. You stop and talk to the elf, take the goblet from the dwarf, or go directly to the Fairy King. Well, I mean, it would be rude not to say hello to the Fairy King. I am being offered some alcohol which smells good, a welcoming smell. However, I am very aware that you shouldn't accept food from fairies because it's like a hospitality thing. So I ain't going to do that. I think I will go and talk to this elf. So I need to go to 9D is where I need to go to next. So let's go to 9D. Perhaps it will be easier to deal with this strange place if you start out by talking with someone most like a human. You walk towards the elf who stands about at the same height as you. If you are the fighter, turn to 15E. If you're the bard, turn to 23A. Welcome to our revels, says the elf. He gestures towards Cynthia, your panpipe slung over your shoulders. Do you play that instrument, bard? We all enjoy music. Oh, God, I don't like this guy already. You put the panpipes to your mouth and whisper to her, play your heart out, dear Cynthia. The success of our quest may depend on it. Oh, wow, the pipes speak. Your quest, master, whispers the pipes harshly. I have no desire to be replaced. Oh, no, we're going to have a bit of a mare with this instrument. I promise you, Cynthia, they shall never be replaced. The lute I seek will allow my soul to speak to the world, but I promise I shall use you to tell my bardic tales. Indeed, you shall become famous. Before she can speak again, you place the pipe to your mouth and begin to pipe a tune. At first, Cynthia fails to cooperate and the notes are harsh, but then she sighs and the pipes a sweet tune that instantly catches the attention of most of the strange folk in the giant chamber. Most of them merely raise their head to listen, but a number of them leap to their feet and form a circle to dance in the open space between the two long tables. You play for a few minutes or a few hours. You never realise the passage of time when you play. Oh, God. But you become aware of the elf's hand on your shoulder. The king is waiting to see you, he says. Quickly, you finish the song, to the dismay of the dancers, and step forward to the throne. Turn to 71A. Nice. I think we've made a good impression, despite our instrument not cooperating with us. You discern a smile on the face of the gnarled old king as you approach him, but you're not certain if it's a smile of welcome. Oh, he doesn't like my music, that's why. You think you detect an underlying note of satisfaction, but his voice, when he speaks, is... What is that word? Querulous? Querulous. But his voice, when he speaks, is querulous. Oh. So, what is a mortal doing in my kingdom? He demands. Trying not to sound hesitant, you explain your quest. After foolishness, the little king exclaims. Then that strangely satisfied look returns to his features, and he says, well, now, it might just be that I'll let ye look around my realm and see what ye can see, if ye can see your way to do something for me. Of course, your majesty, you exclaim. I'd be honoured to help you in any way I could. After all, what can he ask for? It is merely a matter of a lamp. A lamp, your majesty? Yes, a lamp. My wife, the queen, you know, resides in her own quarters elsewhere in the mound. Oh, well, they're not sleeping together, I see. And she has taken, drat her, a lamp that is a particular favourite of mine. Now, if you could get it from her and return it to me, well, I'd be happy to help ye out in your own quest. It certainly seems a simple thing, and if the king will help you for just returning a lamp to him, you see no reason not to agree. You tell the king you agree to bring back his lamp. Oh, God. And he sits back with a pleased sigh, evidently satisfied with the bargain. How will I find your queen, you ask? That's easy enough. He makes a vague gesture to your right and says, you find a pool over there. Ye just leap into it, and it will magically take you to the Queen's domain. A pool, your majesty? You can almost feel the terror that being underwater instills in your heart, and you wonder whether you can trust this strange, wizened being. But then you remember your quest. Yes, of course, a pool, your majesty. I'll be most happy to get that lamp for you. Thank you. The king closes his eyes and puts his head back against a convenient dragon scale. You turn and study the bustling room. Everyone in here is occupied with his or her own concerns. There are several exits to the room, but which should you take? Excuse me, sire, you say to the napping king, but can you tell me which way I should go? He stirs and opens one eye. Bah, mortal, you say you'd do me a favour, and then you want me to do it for you. The eye closes again. You wait a moment and then turn to walk away from the throne. Behind you, you hear a quiet murmur. Remember, mortal, to get safely through the pool, you must acquire some magic items on the way. Wonderful, you think. At least the king seems to want you to get through safely. You look yearningly to the door through which you entered this strange place, but discover that door is now gone, if it was ever there. However, there appears to be several other exits. Of course, there may be some intriguing objects in the room that might be worth your while to study. To continue from here, return to 8 and choose a number of an exit or an object, then return to that section. I do feel like I've been a bit guided into that. What's this about a lamp? Alright, so I'm back at 8. I'm looking at this room. I didn't talk to the dwarf who has the goblet, unfortunately. That's a shame. What can I investigate? So there's a bottle floating on the left, a glowing lantern on the right, a lute on the right, a winged fairy at the back right, which I saw before, a window on the wall, an iron-bound door, fairies at the table, candles on either table, a small coffer on the table, a floating skull at the far left, a sword on the left-hand table, and a huge tree far right. Right, well, let's see now. I can't interact with the cat, which is a shame. I feel light is the important thing, right? He wants a light of some sort. So it feels like I should go and look at these lanterns and the bottle and stuff. But maybe I should talk to the fairies at the table. Maybe they'll give me something. I think my gut instinct is to go for the glowing lantern on the right. So that's 144A. So let's do that. How ingenious, you think to yourself as you study the small ornate lantern floating above the right-hand table. You can have light wherever you want. Oh, I'm stealing it, am I? Oh dear. As you start to reach out towards the lantern, a fairy seated at the table nearby quickly says, "All lamps belong to the king, mortal." If you choose to accept the fairy's comment as a warning and leave the lamp alone, return to 8 and pick up another item. If you still want to investigate the lamp, turn to 18E. Oh, okay, all the lamps belong to the mortal, so I didn't want to investigate it. I kind of did want light of some sort, but no, I'll take the fairy's advice and not touch the lamp then and leave it alone. That's a shame. Hopefully I wouldn't die as a result, but you never know. Alright, so ignoring the lamp, maybe I can look at... Where's the candles? Maybe I should look at the candles instead. 27H, so let's do that. Your examination of the candles in the chamber discloses that they are just candles and nothing more. There is nothing special about them. Well, that's me bloody told, isn't it? I don't know, I thought they were going to be something magical. Alright, back to the chamber. Now what? Candles don't do anything. Can't touch the lantern. I think I should talk to the fairies at the table. That's probably the best. Yeah, I should get more information. The fairies probably will help me out. Hopefully. We don't know. Let's do 128A. Fairies at the table. Let's go. You study a multitude of people at the table and say, "Excuse me, ladies and gentlemen, you are all very gracious with your hospitality here, but as you may know, I am here in your beautiful Faerie Mound on a special quest. Perhaps you can be of help to me." They all look up at you, surprised on their faces as if you've been invisible up until that moment. Then several of them all at once offer you food and drink. Oh no, you decline, insisting you must get on with your quest, but you appreciate whatever help they can give. If you're the fighter, turn to 20E, but if you're the bard, turn to 22G. Oh, why is everyone offering me food? I need help. In return for the fairies' help with your quest, you say you'll be happy to play them a melody on your pipes. You place your magical instrument to your mouth and begin to pipe a sweet tune that will charm the fairies into helping you. As you play, they talk amongst themselves in a language you don't understand. After several minutes, the somewhat rotund, balding gentleman seated at the middle of the right-hand table looks up to you and says, "We think you should know that the Fairy Queen will almost certainly ask for some gifts in return for letting you explore her domain. Be sure to have as many items as possible with you when you get ready to go down through the magical pool." As soon as these words are out of his mouth, a look of complete shock crosses the fairy's face, and he quickly clasps a hand over his mouth. You smile to yourself, realizing that wasn't at all what the fairies had decided you should know. Smiling, you turn back to 8. Oh, okay, so I need to take things with me. Okay, interesting. I mean, it does feel like a bit like a fetch quest, doesn't it? Like I'm just taking things from, like, you know, getting a lamp back, but then I've got to make some sort of bargain. God, wish the Fae people would just talk to each other, make it easier for me. Right, what else? So let's think. We have what we've got left. We've done the lantern. We talked to the fairies at the table. Candles didn't give us anything. There's a sword. There's a huge tree. There's a small coffer on the table. I feel there's a floating bottle to the left. That feels ominous. So maybe we should do that. The loot on the right. I think let's do the bottle. Let's do the bottle. So 117B. Let's go do the bottle. The people eating at the table pay no attention to you as you walk over to inspect the bottle that floats in mid-air above the table. You look all around it before finally accepting that nothing visible is holding it there. You grasp the bottle to study it more closely and immediately realize with delight that it contains a healing potion. The bottle contains 2 doses of strong healing potion. Each time you use it, you will have 2 life points replaced. The bottle will disappear as soon as you've used it twice. You may continue searching the area or take one of the exits. Excellent! Oh, another potion. Okay, that's my second potion. I'll take it for sure. I mean, I might as well look at the loot on the right now and see where that takes me. So that is 30E. Your finger strums idly across the strings of the lute and you begin to feel it speak to you. Ooh. If you are the fighter, turn to 34C, and if you're the bard, turn to 36C. Ooh. The words the lute sings into your ear are words of joy and ancient glories. Turn to the beneficent random effects table on 159 and see what happens. Wait, what? I didn't realise there's a random table. Oh, that's exciting. Pleasant, useful things do happen from time to time in the mound. When you're instructed to, mark the page you are reading and turn to this table to discover what beneficial thing happens to you. Begin at the top of the list and check off each event. When and if you finish all 20 items, begin again at the top of the list. With any luck, you will come here often during the course of your adventure. Oh, so that's the beneficent table. I can also see there's a maleficent table. Malefic table. Oh, a gentle mist falls from above and heals me for 1 hit point. Cool, I didn't take any damage, but nice. So, okay, well, I guess I'm still at full health. Good job me, I guess. That did nothing, that item, but I guess, yeah, let's go back to 8, I guess. Here's the thing, though. I bet I could keep going back to that loot and, like, ticking off things over and over again. All right, what other items we've got in the room? So we've still got the small coffer, we've got the floating skull, we've got the sword, we've got the huge tree, and then we've got a window on the wall and an ironbound door. I assume I have to go through the ironbound door because that is on my right, technically, at some point. There's also a fairy at the back I should talk to, probably. I can see they're putting something into, like a dumb waiter, so maybe I need to go there. But I think items are more important first. Let's chance the small coffer. Like, we might get some money out of it. It might be gifts, I don't know. So we'll try that. That's 18J. The little coffer or chest on the right-hand table draws you towards it with a hint of possible treasures. You are pleased to see that there is no padlock on it. You raise the hasp, I presume it says clasp, and lift the lid. Oh, balls! A small thin dart shoots out from a trap inside the lid, injuring you enough to take away 2 life points. There's no treasure inside the coffer. Return to 8. Oh, no, my greed got the better of me there. Oh, dear, oh dear. So the bard has 40 life points. Now I'm on 38. That's so annoying. My own greed got in the way there. Okay. Now I feel less cool about the skull and the sword, etc. But let's go check out the sword 12D. Let's go check out the sword 12D. Near the far end of the left-hand table is a great gleaming sword, a weapon of great beauty. It has an unmistakable aura of mystery about it. Approaching it, you reach for the handle to pull it out of its sheath. If you're the fighter, turn to 60C. If you're the bard, turn to 23G. Now, here's the thing. I'm guessing this is meant to be for the fighter, but am I going to get that bad table thing? Probably. That's probably what's going to happen now. You pull the sword part of the way out of its sheath, but you find yourself unable to hold its great weight. Yeah, doesn't surprise me. I've got thin wrists and my arms are quite weak, so I can only put up panpipes. Before it can tumble to the ground, you quickly shove it back into its scabbard, realising you couldn't possibly carry it. Oh, return to 8. Brutal. Alright, so the sword was a dud. Let's go talk to the floating skull. Why not? Why not? Let's just go poke everything, shall we? 38C. If this is your first time in the Hall of the Fairy King, turn to 23E. If you've been here before, turn to 24F. What? Well, I'm still in my first time in the Fairy Hall, so weird. Okay, 23E. God, it's just sending me back. Floating in mid-air near the opening of a large tree is a human skull. You walk towards it, intrigued by the unusual sight. It seems to notice you and begin to bob up and down in the air as you approach. The fairies nearby pay no attention. "Oh, sir," comes a voice from the skull. "I'm so happy you decided I'm worthy of your attention. No one here pays any notice to me anymore, although they did when I first came here. They used to scream and run whenever they saw me. It was great fun, but now they merely ignore me." It concludes sadly. You try to reply, but the vociferous skull keeps right on chattering. Vociferous. Vehement or clamorous, says the dictionary. Ah, vociferous. Nice word. "You know what, sir? I bet if you took me along on your explorations of this place, I could be a good deal of help to you. I know things about this fairy mound that nobody else knows," it says darkly. "Things you really ought to know. You're kind to offer help, you say, but I really have enough to carry with me." That's my excuse as well. You walk away from the skull and start to cross the huge chamber again. Instantly you hear laughter from the fairies behind you. You turn your head to see the skull following you and bobbing along in your wake like some kind of peculiar shadow. Apparently the skull has taken a great liking to you and is being a very persistent creature. You realise it plans to follow you for the fairy mound. Well, let it, you decide, and walk away. Turn to 8. Great, I have a very sad skull with me now, but it'll help me. I don't mind that. Sounds good. I'll make a note of it. I think the final thing I'm going to do before I choose one of the exits, I'm going to go talk to the fairy that's at the back of the hall, clearly doing something. We'll see what they have to say. 101A, that one. You cross to the back of the room where there is a window-like opening with a fairy scrapping dirt plates through it. I did think it was a dumbwaiter. You ask him about the opening. "It's a dumbwaiter," he replies. "I said that." Then he adds in self-pitying tones, "That's all I ever get to do round here. Scrap plates. They eat and eat and eat. It never ends. And the king is angry at me for suggesting we get the queen and her ladies back here to do the cleaning up, so he gave me the job." Wow, well, sod this guy. I'd put him in the dumbwaiter myself. "Where does the trash go after you scrape it through the window?" you ask. "Someone may know. I certainly don't. The king tells me to scrape plates here, so I scrape the plates here. I know it can be used as an exit from this room, but where it goes I simply don't know. They never tell me anything. They just laugh at me and hand me more dirty plates." Well, that was a lot of help, you think, but at least I know there's an exit there. Return to 8. I mean, we kind of guessed there was an exit there because it said so, but now we know for sure. I don't know. I've seen loads of movies where getting into dumbwaiters leads to problems. So maybe we don't do that one. There's the huge tree that we can go try, and then there's the iron-bound door. Let's go to the tree. Let's see what the tree has in store. I know we're basically going through everything in this room, but it's like a point-and-click adventure. This is what's happening now. So, we'll have to deal with it. A faint light gleams upwards through a hole leading down beneath a huge old tree. There are stairs, which seems to have been made by fairies, descending towards the light. As you descend, you realise that the light seems to flicker, and you begin to hear a heavy clanging of metal on metal. Turn to 106. Oh, that doesn't have a letter after it, so it must be an actual, like, bookmarkable page. You know, like a... Oh, gosh, okay. That's all we have time for this episode of the DM's Book Club. Thank you so much for listening. We'll be back next week with the next part in this rather bizarre solo adventure. As always, keep safe, play more games, and we'll see you on the flip side. Bye!